Hello, everyone. Ryan from Ryan's Fortress, and welcome to episode 6 of the Megahit Media Podcast. I don't know why I threw media in there. But welcome to the Megahit Podcast. Welcome to episode 6. I really need to make like a jingle or something I'll say at the beginning of every episode, because I think a lot of other podcasts do that. I gotta come up with something creative, something like rhythmic almost to start off the podcast. I don't know, but for now we're just starting with that, and welcome to episode 6 of the Megahit Podcast. We have a pretty fun podcast today, I guess. We have one of the more exciting ones, I think. Maybe. We'll see. I feel like this is just like it's September now, and I feel like this is when things start to happen, just in general. Just like I feel like September is always when things are happening, when big things happen. It's always like May and September. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like when I think of like times when like big stuff in movies and big stuff in gaming, like all that kind of stuff happens, for some reason I always think of May and September. Those are always the months that come to mind. So, but we are here in September, so I don't really have a ton of stuff to talk about in this introduction. I don't really think there's anything special to talk about right now. So, I guess let's go right into some news. I'm kind of going quickly here. Not really mean to, but because there's not a lot of news either. There's not like a ton of stuff that I have here that I thought was like interesting to cover to some degree. So real quick, talking about the podcast today, what we have in stock, I guess, whatever that means. Movie segment, talking about because D23 is happening right now, or I think it just ended maybe today. Because this weekend was D23, of course I'll be talking about that in my new segment a little bit, but thought it would be, just timing-wise, it would be interesting to talk about some Pixar stuff. So we have the upcoming Pixar movies ranked by how excited I am for them. I have for anticipation, that's what I have written down, but basically just how excited I am for these movies ranked. But really this is more just me talking about the 5 movies and what I think, if I'm excited for them. So that's going to be our movie segment. Gaming segment. So I was thinking, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this. I was thinking about talking about Nintendo Direct stuff today, but then I decided not to. So I'm going to do that next week, unless it's this week, unless the Direct happens this week, because of course, right, like I don't know right now. So like it could be announced in between this. Next episode might be after the upcoming Direct. It does seem right now pretty likely that the Direct is happening next week though, but it definitely could happen this week. It's not like it's impossible. I think if there's no Direct this week, we're going to save it for next week. I think what I'm going to do, because I've done this in the past and I think this would be fun, I think I'm going to make a bingo board and then just talk about the things on my bingo board. So basically a bunch of my predictions for the Nintendo Direct. So today, interesting topic. We're going to be talking, I made a list of some of the most popular Switch games, and I'll be talking about each of them and whether or not I think it's likely that they could get Switch 2 editions, and if so, whether they would be like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, where they just be like visual stuff, touching up the visuals, touching up the graphics, stuff like that, or if they would actually have new content like in Mario Party Jamboree and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Which we'll be talking about the latter a little bit too today. So that's going to be an interesting topic. Got some stuff to talk about there. And then finally, sports. Nothing huge in sports. We're just talking about some Phillies stuff. Last month of the season, thought I'd cover some stuff because this last week has been pretty big. There's been a lot going on. So that's our podcast for today. That's what we're gonna be talking about. So let's dive into some good old news here. Like I said, not a ton of news. What is my computer doing right now? Okay, here we go. Not a ton of news today. Not a ton of news this week, or at least not a ton that I thought was super interesting outside of like D23. So here's what we got. So I'm just start right off the bat with D23. A lot of stuff was announced. Here's personally what I thought was some of the bigger announcements, at least to me. So first, Disney announced a new animated film called Hexed for fall of 2026. As you might have seen on Twitter, I retweeted this the tweet or the post, whatever, that Disney tweeted about the post that Disney made about the movie and what it was about, and I was like it was just reading it made no sense to me. Just it didn't it wasn't just this sounds weird. It was just like what does this even mean? I don't even know how to think. Let's see. I'm trying to look for that tweet. Where's the tweet? I might have gone past it. Maybe I should just do it the right way. I think I'm way past it. How did I go past it? Unless I tweeted on the wrong thing. Here we go. Okay, sorry. Here we go. This is what the tweet says that Disney tweeted when they announced the film. Coming to theaters in fall 2026, Disney's Hex is an all-new original film that follows an awkward teenage boy and his type A mom who discover that what makes him unusual might just be magical powers that will turn their lives and a secret world of magic upside down. What does that even mean? What the heck does type A mom mean? I don't know. Is that a blood type? This is a Disney movie that's talking about blood types. That's dumb. They wouldn't do that. It's just who discovered that what makes him unusual might just be magical powers that turn their lives and a secret world of magic upside down. That sounds like the most creative thing coming from Disney. A boy that discovers he has magical powers. Wow. Yeah. So I don't really have any interest in this movie at all. But you know what? It's funny to me just watching this right now, watching the little 10-second video that goes with that tweet. It looks like it's a title card you would see for the trailer of some stupid Disney XD show. Like that Wizards of Waverly Place thing or whatever that's called. That's kind of what this reminds me of. It doesn't look like I actually read this and I wasn't sure if this was a feature-length film until I reread it and realized it said coming to theaters. So yeah, it's a little rant about that. But yeah, so that is coming in fall 2026. Yeah, though I guess the last original Disney movie, I'm trying to think. I guess it was Strange World. Or no, I guess it was Wish. I guess Wish, yeah. So yeah, that's that. Next up, Ice Age Boiling Point was announced for February of 2027. So I think what I read is that the film was originally supposed to come out later in next year, in October, November of next year, and then is now coming out in February of 2027. And it also got that title announcement called Boiling Point, which makes no sense to me. It sounds super, super stupid. Ice Age Boiling Point. I don't know. That sounds really dumb to me, but I don't know. We'll see. Honestly, I don't really care for this film at all. I feel like the Ice Age movies, I've probably seen clips of them on TV, and I probably saw clips of them as a kid, but I know nothing about these movies. I've never watched them fully, so I don't know, whatever. Cool. Yeah. I mean, these movies get terrible reviews too, so it's yeah. So that's that. And in honor of Toy Story's 30th anniversary, the Buzz Lightyear balloon will return to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade for the first time since 2013. I saw this announcement and I was kind of surprised that the balloon wasn't I was like, why is this a big announcement? I feel like Buzz Lightyear's balloons are always in the Thanksgiving Day Parade, but no, hasn't been in there since 2013. So I guess the parades do have the characters probably on floats, but never a balloon, not since 2013. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see. Pixar reveals the opening clip of Toy Story 5 to guests of D23. I don't have a lot to talk about here because I did not watch the leaked video of this clip. Someone was recording it at D23 and it was posted online, and I did not watch it. I watched maybe I don't know, 1 second of it, scrolling past it. But I don't know. So the only things I heard about it was that it is a bunch of Buzz Lightyears that are part of a villain of the movie or something. And I think it's Conan O'Brien is a voice of someone, but I don't remember who it said he was. So honestly, I'm going to be talking about more about this film in the movie segment, but I don't see what this movie is going to do. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I don't know how people reacted to Toy Story 4 in this kind of way. I know people just didn't want it in general, but just the details of this movie make me less and less excited for it. But I don't know. We'll see. All right. Finally, from D23, Cinderella Castle at Magic Kingdom in Florida to receive a new color scheme that matches the castle from the original movie. I think this is cool. I saw the concept art today, and just looking at it without having a comparison to the castle right now, it didn't look too different. I think it looks cool though. Some of the colors are a little bit different, so it does look cool. It does look like the older movie, and so yeah, not a huge announcement, but it was pretty cool. So yeah, so that's all from D23. Now we got just a couple more things in the news. So let's see. Back to the Future is returning to theaters on Halloween to commemorate the 40th anniversary. I am hyped for this. I really want to see this. And what I love about this, it is literally coming in everything, in every format. It's going to be in IMAX. It's going to be in Dolby. It's going to be in freaking 40X. I want to see this in 40X. I've never seen a 40X movie, and I really want to see. I want to see this in 40X. And the new Tron Ares in IMAX, because I think I mentioned in the last podcast talking about K-pop Demon Hunters. There's a 70 millimeter IMAX, a real IMAX theater, only 45 minutes from my house. So I would really like to see a movie there, and in the same theater also has 40X. So I would like to see that as well. So. But just in general, I really want to see this movie in theaters. Of course, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Such a good movie. So good. So iconic. It's just amazing movie. Mortal Kombat 2 release date delayed 7 months to May of 2026. I did not see the first Mortal Kombat from a couple of years ago, but I have seen the original movie from 1995. And it is a horrible movie, in my opinion. It's one of those movies that my dad really loved and wanted to show me. And then, by the end of the movie, I was like, this sucks. And he's like, oh, you suck. So that kind of thing. But, so I do not have too much. I don't care too much about this. But I would like to see the original just because I've heard really, good things about it in terms of it being just fun and cool. Of course, I've never heard a good review from it, but it seems like a cool movie. I don't know. It seems pretty cool. Although just watching the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer from maybe a month ago, I was surprised watching it because it was this is the sequel. It looks like it's would be the first movie, but no. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then one more thing, which kind of have been talking about for a while now and kind of mentioned before, but many calling the upcoming Nintendo Direct basically confirmed after many reports from Nate the Hate 2 calling for the event to be hosted on September 11th or the 12th. I think it's funny that everyone on Twitter is now saying like, it's basically confirmed, but it's like, I mean, I feel like it's I feel like it's just like, of course we're gonna have a September direct, or at least a direct in the next, like, I don't know, 30, 40 days. I don't know. It just seems like, they have to, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know anything about next year, and they're definitely still putting on these presentations. It's like, we're definitely going to get one probably this month. They got to show more Metroid. They got to show more, I guess maybe a little bit more Pokemon. I don't know how much more of that game needs to be shown, but maybe they can show some Kirby stuff, and of course there's some other things too. But yeah, we're definitely getting a Nintendo Direct this month. And it really just depends if it's this week or if it's next week. And right now it seems very likely that it is going to be next week. And honestly, just in general, that does make sense in terms of when Directs have been in the past. I'm just off the top of my head of all of these September Directs, I'm pretty sure there was a September Direct every year except for this past year, 2024. I think since 2017, since the Switch came out, there has been a Nintendo Direct every year, except for 2020, but that one didn't have any general directs. But I think it was like 2017, 2018 were the 13th. Oh my God, my voice just cracked terrible there. And then it was the 4th in 2019, and then it was like the 23rd in 21, the 13th in 22, and then the 14th in 23. Yeah, that sounds right. So it's been like at least the second week, like every time except for 2 years where it was the first week. In 2021 it was the third or fourth week, I guess. So, but yeah, just in general, it seems likely that it would be the next week, but it could be this week. But what I just think in general is that it's going to be this month. We are getting a Nintendo Direct this month, and yeah, and I still am standing by that. I don't think we're getting like a Mario Direct. But if we would get a Mario Direct, I've been thinking it's going to come this week, but I don't know which one they'd put on first. But I don't really know. But I just think it's going to be the same thing. I don't think it's going to be two separate videos. Yeah, so that's all our news that we're talking about today. That is that's all the news I had on there. So let's dive into our movie segment. After I drink that little sip of water. All right, movies. Got some stuff to talk about today. Some sauce here, talking about upcoming Pixar films ranked by anticipation. So this is going to be pretty fun. Most recent watches, I've actually, like I said in my last podcast, I really have not had a lot of time the last couple of weeks. I've been very busy with just a lot of different things. So I haven't had a lot of time to watch movies, but I did get to watch a movie last night, and I decided to watch one of the most interesting movies I think I've seen this year. It's called Companion. It's a movie I'd heard of a lot of on just kind of all over the place. It's kind of something where I was seeing it everywhere, and but yeah, that was really, really good. It was if you haven't seen it, I don't want to give too much away because it is interesting to watch without knowing anything about it. But I will say, actually, forget it. If you haven't seen the movie, sorry, but I want to mention this. But I think what was interesting about it is that the only thing I knew about this movie going into it is that the main woman in the movie is a robot that's supposed to be like, robot companion. That's where the name comes from. But I think what the movie does that's interesting about it is that you see her for the first time and you're like, is she a robot? Like, is that like she's a robot, right? And then it's not until like maybe 15, 20 minutes in where then, it's like she is a robot and she doesn't know she's a robot, which I thought was interesting. It's just such a cool scene where, oh no, I'm blanking on his name. Oh no. Josh, what is his name? Is it? Oh no. Oh my God. Dennis Quaid's son. It's him. Jack Quaid. That's what I'm thinking of. I keep thinking of Nate. I don't know why I keep thinking of Nate. Actually, is that a? Oh, I know what I'm thinking of. Oh yeah, that's why I'm thinking of him. I keep thinking of him when I keep thinking of Jack Quaid. I keep thinking of that his name is Nate for some reason, and I think it's because of Novocaine, because his name is Nate in Novocaine. So I was right. But yeah, so Jack Quaid in this movie, basically the girl is a robot that he bought to be like his companion, to be like his girlfriend, and it's just super cool. They're going through all this stuff. She kills someone, and then he's like, "Go to sleep," and it's like super cool. But it's super cool also. Like this is one of the most like unpredictable movies, at least to me. I thought this was super cool. How everything was happening, like how everything was set up, where it's like she does all these things and it doesn't even like click until he says that, and she goes to sleep and you realize she is a robot. But it's like you don't even put two and two together yet. Like the part when she says the weather, like you don't even think like, oh yeah, she's a robot. So it's like like of course she knows that. So yeah, super super cool. And the movie just in general really cool, sci-fi thriller. Really, really fun. So yeah, I was just gonna say, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. But I kind of just spoiled part of it, so I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to talk about it because it is a pretty cool movie. It's definitely up there for one of my more favorite movies of the year so far. Really, really good. All right, so let's jump in to our main topic, talking about Pixar stuff. I don't really think I've talked a lot about Pixar stuff in the podcast yet, but Pixar, of course, I've loved Pixar movies for years. I guess I kind of talked about it in my last podcast, talking about like Pixar and Disney, and how Sony's better. But Pixar, like I said before, I love Pixar very, very much. I've loved Pixar movies for basically forever now. I've loved them ever since I was a kid. I've seen all the movies. I know pretty much everything about them. You could probably ask me any question about any single, I don't know, 90% of those movies, and I'd be able to answer it. So yeah, I love Pixar movies very much. And we have a good lineup maybe coming in the next I think it's like, I guess 3 years now. So I thought it'd be interesting kind of so I rank them from least to most anticipated, but really it's just a way for me to talk about all 5 movies and how excited I am for them. So without further ado, let's get started. And so number 5, we're starting off with actually the next Pixar film, the upcoming one, Hoppers. This movie, it doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't like. It's kind of like the last couple of movies, like Elio and Turning Red, where it's like you see the trailer and it just isn't the most like interesting of ideas. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess it's a little bit more interesting, but it's like, it's like these scientists and then they want to put this girl's like brain into this animal, and this, I forget, is it a groundhog or something? I don't really remember. Like Avatar, it's funny they even make a joke about that in the movie. But I don't know, it just seems like kind of cool. But it also kind of like what I saw from the trailer was like immediately what I was thinking of after watching the trailer was like, I was just thinking of the Wild Robot, to be honest. That's kind of where I was at. And I know, like, of course, this movie has been in production longer than just this past year since the Wild Robot came out. But it just feels like it's not too unique, especially after that movie. It just doesn't feel like there's anything too special about it, really. But hopefully it's okay. Hopefully it's decent. It looks like it's at least going to be fun. But I do hope, of course, it is a little bit more than that. But so honestly, I don't really know what else to say about that one. It seems like funny, and that's about it. But yeah, we'll see. So that is Hoppers. So that's coming out next year, I guess in like March. I think it's like March of next year, or maybe I think it's actually just dated for spring. So yeah, that's happening next year. And then number 4, unfortunately, I did have to put the original movies at the bottom because that's kind of how it is. But number 4 is a movie called Gato. It is, I want to actually look because I'm kind of blanking right now on the story. So the movie, here, let's see. Let's look at the good old. I do like the logo, by the way. I don't know if we've seen this logo for it yet. It might have just been used. It might have just been shown for like during this during D23, but I don't really know. So this movie comes out in the summer of next year, or of 2027. I think it's the only movie of 20. No, I don't think that's right. Yeah, only movie of 2027. So I'm looking for, where is like the just the thing for it? Maybe it's not here. Why is it not saying it? Okay. Oh, here it is. So here's the synopsis for the movie. Indebted to a feline mob boss, Nero finds himself forced to forge an unexpected friendship that may finally lead him to his purpose. This movie, to me, screams either this could be really cool and a very interesting movie, or really stupid and not an interesting movie. I don't really know which side it's going to take, but I guess we will see. First of all, we only have seen one picture of it, but I love the image. It's super cool. It looks really, really neat. And I really hope the movie, because I know this is like just concept art probably, but I really want the movie to have a different, like I want it to look like this. I want it to look like this. It was very similar the way I was thinking about it was that short Kit Bowl, if you've ever seen that short. That short is so good. It is so good. And part of the reason why I love that short is because of the animation style. It is so good. And it's just because it looks unique. It looks more stylistic. I don't know why Pixar has not done that yet. Please do it, and please let this movie be like that, because that would be awesome. If the movie looks very close to the concept art, I would love it. I would automatically be more excited for this film, 10 times more excited than I was for Elio, and for Hoppers. So, but I don't know. I don't think it will, but we'll see. So feline mob boss. So I don't really know exactly what that means. I don't know if that means because now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm like really reading this, I don't know if that means like it's a mob of cats or it is an actual mob that has a lot of cats, like human mob that has a lot of cats. I don't really know. I would think by feline mob boss, it means that it is a cat mob, I guess. I don't really know what that means, but I don't know. Whatever. And also another big detail of this movie, it is being directed by Enrico Casarosa. Pretty sure I said that right. Hopefully I did. And he directed Luca, and I'm pretty sure he also directed La Luna, which is personally one of my favorite Pixar shorts ever. Although, for some reason, I know I'm going completely off topic here, but for any kids watching, I feel like La Luna is always shown in school. I don't know. I feel like that short, I definitely saw that short used in like my English class, like at least once or twice. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like that's like one of. But it's just because it's a great short. That's why. So that's Gato. That's coming out in the summer of 2027. And I do hope it's good. I mean, I love Luca very much, but it is another one of those more simple, down to earth kind of movies, and I hope this movie does a lot more than that. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Disney and Pixar do with this film, because I just really want to, like, if I see the first trailer for this film and it has a cool art style, I am automatically going to be in. You know what I mean? Like, I will be in. So that is Gato. And now we move into the interesting ones. The 3 sequels. So these are the other 3 movies that we know are coming out in the next few years. And so starting off at number 3, I have a bit to talk about with this film. Toy Story 5 is coming out next year. That is my number 3. So first of all, I am excited for this film, but as I said before, I am also very, very nervous. I think this film could either be like the best thing or the worst thing. And so far, it's not giving me hopes that it's going to be the former. So I don't really know. But I will at least say this. I am a big fan of Toy Story 4. I think a lot of people look at that film and say it is a bad Pixar movie. It is a bad movie because it exists, basically. Because Toy Story 3 ended on such a great note, and it's like, why do you need a fourth film? The way I look at the Toy Story 4 thing is that, because I was in that camp for a while, but the way that I look at it is it's like Toy Story 3 is one of my favorite movies ever. It is one of the greatest animated movies ever. It is such a phenomenal movie. And it ended on such a wonderful, powerful, heart-wrenching note that it probably makes it one of the probably the greatest like movie trilogy like conclusion ever. At least in the last 20 years, probably, because it's so good. So I think just Toy Story 4 happening is something where it's easy to say it's not a good movie. It's easy to say that you don't like it because it didn't need to happen. And it's like, no, it didn't. I mean, of course, when it comes to the financials, Toy Story movies are always going to do amazing. So, of course it's going to do amazing. So it's almost feels like a no-brainer in that aspect. But at the same time, it's like Toy Story 4, the fans don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're going to go see it, but it's like they don't want it. But it's the first part that it's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Because they're going to see it anyway. I am in the camp where I do not think Toy Story 4 needs to exist, but at the same time, I am very glad it does because I still think this is really good. It is like, honestly, for me, I would probably put this film pretty close to Toy Story 3 because like I don't know, maybe a year ago, I watched them back to back. It was one of like the first times I'd seen both movies in a pretty long time. In terms of like full length, like seeing it from start to finish rather than just seeing parts of it on like TV on live. And it's just like you feel that like you watch Toy Story 3 and it's like leaves such an impact on you every time you watch it. And honestly, I felt the same with Toy Story 4. That is another huge, powerful movie, and it also has, while not quite as good as Toy Story 3, it's still a powerful, emotional, and just heartwarming ending. That it's crazy that this one franchise was able to do twice. So I do love Toy Story 4. I do think it is one of Pixar's best movies, and I think people need to give it a chance. I feel like I talked about before that there's plenty of movies, plenty of games that I don't like simply because people say that something is better or blah, 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 or maybe I think they shouldn't exist, whatever, when in reality they are good. Big example I've mentioned before is like Bowser's Fury. I think that game is good, but I hated it for a long time because everyone said it was better than Mario Odyssey, which it is definitely not. And I think this is one of those cases where I'm the complete opposite and everyone else is like that. So yeah, I think if you're one of those people who do not like Toy Story 4 simply because it exists, go watch it again and don't cry. If you don't cry, fine. I believe you. Unless you're like me and you don't cry ever. But yeah, so moving on from that. Toy Story 5, I am putting it number 3 of these 3 movies. I think for me, I'm kind of on both sides here where it's like I'm not really, like I'm nervous for this film because just everything we're hearing about it doesn't sound super interesting. And this really doesn't need to exist after Toy Story 4 didn't need to. This one really doesn't have to. But at the same time, on the other side of the argument, Toy Story films always manage to be good. I think that this film is going to be very, very good. I mean, hopefully. If it's not, I'm going to be shocked. But I think it's at least going to be good. And whether or not it comes near the impact that Toy Story 4, Toy Story 3 had is something completely different. Or Toy Story 2, I haven't even mentioned 1 and 2. But those are, I love those movies too, but those are in a different level. But yeah, Toy Story 5. I'm nervous, but at the same time, I feel like these Toy Story films never really fail to disappoint. And I really do think with Pixar, I think they don't just make movies for the money. I think even now, when all of their recent movies have been pretty much all box office flops, especially with like Lightyear and Ellie and even Elio this year. I think Elemental was like okay, but even that didn't meet expectations. When all these original movies used to make like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions, these are all pretty much flops compared to those. So I think it's easy to think that Pixar is of course gonna of course they're gonna make Toy Story 5, but I think at the same time yes, we do have a lot of sequels coming, but we also have I'm pretty sure what Pete Docter said is that they're gonna do a sequel, then an original one, and a sequel and an original one, which says that they're not in it for the money because they still want to make tons of original movies, but at the same time they are going to make sequels because they need the big financial stuff, but at the same time they still want the originals. So what that says to me is that they are not just we're going to just make sequels because that's what makes money. And we're not making Toy Story 5 because it's going to make a lot of money. That's honestly, I do not think that is the only reason they're making Toy Story 5. I think that's a big part of it, but I think another big part is that I feel like Pixar would not make a new Toy Story film or really a new film in a franchise or a new sequel if they didn't have the right story. I think that is a case with this where I think they're making Toy Story 5 because a concept for it was brought up and it was good enough and it was a good one to run with for a 5th movie. I mean, it's not like this, the other movie just came out. I mean, the other movie came out, 8 years ago? So, no, 7 years ago. Toy Story 4 was 7 years ago. So it's not like it just came out. It's not like Toy Story 4 was a big hit. What do we do for 5? You know what I mean? It was probably at least a couple of years before they really started going on Toy Story 5. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, so that's where I'm kind of I am excited for it, but I'm also nervous. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Next up is is another one like that where it's they would only make a sequel for it if they knew that it was going to, if they had a good story to do it with. And it is Coco 2. And as if you know me, you know that Coco is my favorite movie of all time. It is, and of course it is definitely my favorite Pixar movie. It is, to me, pretty much the closest you get to perfection when it comes to movies. It is an incredible story, such a creative idea mixed with such phenomenal animation, great characters that are super likable, and of course, so much emotion. This is, as I mentioned before, the closest a film has gotten me to cry. This is anything has gotten me to cry, but this is the closest a film has gotten me to. It wasn't the closest for a while until I watched Bluey's The Sign, but that's different. That's a different story for another day. But anyway, so Coco 2 was announced a few months ago. for a 2029 release date. So we're not getting it for 4 years, but we know it's coming. And like, this is one I feel like when it comes to movie sequels, this is one where I was like, it's never going to get a sequel. Like, it's Coco. You know what I mean? If all the Pixar movies I would get sequels, this is not one that would get one because it doesn't need one. I actually remember a few months ago, I was thinking about a Coco 2, like the night before it was released for some reason. I remember having a dream about it where I was just, I don't know, a stupid dream probably, where it probably just was something that popped in my head. And I was like, oh God, Coco 2. And then I was like, what? Coco 2? So I'm very nervous for this movie, and I'm nervous to see what they do with it. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some good things they could do with this. I think there's some bad things they can do with this. And I really hope they go the good way. But as I was talking about with Toy Story 5, I do think that this movie would not be happening if they didn't have a good story to do it with. I really do believe that with Pete Docter. I don't think he would just because I'm pretty sure he's in control now. I think he's in control of everything. And I don't think he would, I don't know if green light's the right word, but like, I guess sort of green light a new movie if it wasn't like, if he didn't like the story. So yeah, Coco 2. I'm nervous, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. But of course, number 1 is Incredibles 3. For the simplest reason, that is the one I'm least nervous about. I think this is a film that, like, of course it's going to get a sequel, and it's superheroes, you know what I mean? Like Incredibles 2, I think is phenomenal. I think Incredibles 1 and 2 are really good. I think I like Incredibles 2 more than most other people. And I do think for part of that is because, like, I didn't watch Incredibles, like, when it came out, and I've been waiting for it 14 years before a sequel came out. Of course, I wasn't born when the original movie came out. But, so yeah, I do think that that is kind of a case there. But yeah, so Incredibles 3, I'm really excited for just because it's Incredibles 3. You know what I mean? Like the first Incredibles, great action movie, great superhero movie, great animated family movie, all rolled into one. Incredibles 2, while I don't think the like when it goes to like the deep family story stuff like that, I do think in terms of superhero, it is super cool. There's so much cool action in it, and a twist that, while not the most unexpected, maybe a little bit predictable, it is still a pretty cool twist, and I do like all of the reasons toward it. So I don't think it's quite as good as the first one, but I do still love Incredibles 2 very, very much. I think it's an awesome movie. And then, of course, Incredibles 3 is just, it's just another one. Like it's a home run for Pixar pretty much. Like you can't go wrong. Like I feel like it would be hard to make a bad Incredibles 3. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so I feel like that's the most easiest one to say. Like, yeah, that's going to be a good movie. So yeah, that is our list of the 5 upcoming Pixar movies, and how excited I am for them and how nervous I am for them as well. So that is that, and that's gonna lead us straight into our video game segment. So yeah, let's talk about some video games. All right, so starting off with what I've been playing. So what I've been playing, I got a couple things I want to talk about here. So starting off with a new game, we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch 2 Edition plus Starcrossed World. I was very excited to play this. I, of course, love Kirby and the Forgotten Land very, very much. And that is a very special game to me. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I think that's the first game that I bought myself when I got my first debit card, like my teen one or something, 3 years ago. And that was the first one I bought day one. That's when I started watching directs and got more into video games and Nintendo stuff. So I was very excited for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I, of course, love that. I love that game very, very much. I go back to it every year, every March. I replay it. So I was excited to dive back into it and dive into some new levels with Starcrossed World. So I did share some of my thoughts on Twitter, but I thought I'd elaborate on some of that stuff a little bit more here. I think this game is fun. I think the Star-Crossed World stuff is fun. First of all, that was the first time I played Kirby the Forgotten Land on Switch 2, and it actually plays really good on Switch 2. I actually didn't look it up. I forgot I was going to. But I'm pretty sure the game now runs, I forget if the original game didn't run at 60 frames. Maybe it was 30 FPS. Actually, I'll look up right now. But it just feels much better on Switch 2. It feels really, really smooth. Does Kirby Fail run at 30 FPS? Let's take a look. Or I guess I'll take a look. The original Kirby and the Forgotten Land ran at 30 FPS. The Switch 2 edition so it is 60. So that makes sense. And what it also says there is that I guess background objects or like farther away objects also look better. Their frame rate is not dipped nearly as much. I guess I don't really know. I didn't realize that. Although that is a big thing in the original game, but I guess it's not a big deal here. I'm trying to think if I noticed that at all. But yeah, just 60 FPS is just so nice for this game. Kirby already felt fantastic in the original on Switch, but feels so much better on Switch 2. Really, really feels much better. So I will also say, Star-Crossed World was or is, I guess, my first Switch 2 edition that I have bought and actually played. I do have the Breath of the Wild one, but I haven't played it because I never played Breath of the Wild because that game stinks. Anyway, never mind. But I do think that, but yeah, so I was interested to see how it worked. And I was actually surprised when because I downloaded it on, just on the eShop. And when you download it and then you, I guess you just, open up Kirby the Forgotten Land, and it kind of just merges together, which I thought was interesting. It just morphs them together, which is neat. But, so Star-Crossed World is very, very cool. It is, I think it's what I read. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't played too much of it, because I kind of lost interest, to be honest. But I think it's 12 levels, I think I read. 12 remixed levels from the base game, that are all remixed. And I think they are fun. I do think it does, for the most part, a lot of them just feel like new levels. But I do think they are fun. I think they do some interesting things. Like, for example, in the water world, the first level, the water, you get to walk around. The water, is almost pushed to the side and blocked off by those star crystal things. So you can explore underwater, because all the water is now gone. And that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool idea. I also every level does have their own set of missions, just like the normal levels. They all have their own set of the things to find. I forget what they're called. I think they're called just starries, but they're basically the same as Waddle Dees. You find 3 or 4 of them or something, or 5 of them, in every level, just hiding somewhere, and then you get 3 more from completing certain missions that are unique to each level. And then I also like how it works with the way that it's connected. So every level that does have a remixed version, it's you can pick either one, and the markers for them are right next to each other when you go up to that level. So it is pretty cool. But I think if you're gonna buy it, I mean, it's like I said on Twitter, it didn't really feel like it fixed anything. It's not like there was a glaring problem with the original game, and Star-Crossed World does a good job of adding more content to kind of seal that. So it doesn't really do anything different. I think it's fun. I think if you're like me and really enjoyed the original game and just want to play more levels, I think this does that. But honestly, that's kind of it. It kind of just it's fun, sure, but also for $20, it's a little steep. I mean, I get it that I understand that the $20 the upgrade packs that include new content like this one are $20, and then stuff like Breath of the Wild are just $10. But it's steep. And of course, people are mentioning, you're paying $80 for a last generation game. So it is rough. I think it's a little pricey. I think it should be different. I think paying $10 for an upgrade pack just in general is nuts. I mean, I just think like when you look at the like $10, it costs the same to get an upgrade, a visual, and maybe like small performance-wise upgrade costs the same as a full-fledged game being like Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Which sure, that doesn't have a lot, but that is worth like more. That should be worth more than an upgrade pack. You know, I get it that the ones that have extra content are more expensive, but I feel like $20 is a little bit much. I feel like it should be more like $5 and $10. I think paying $10 for this makes a lot more sense. But that's just me. And then the other game I've been kind of playing a little bit is Super Mario Party Jamboree. So I've never been a huge fan of Mario Party. I've never played any of the games too much. I've actually been recently playing them a little bit, mainly because my cousins, who are all like, I'm trying to think how old they are, they're like 8, 6, and 5, I think. They all love Mario Party very much, and they actually got me Mario Party Jamboree this past Christmas, and I've played a bit of it, and it is actually pretty fun. It is fun playing that game. I've played a decent chunk of it, but yeah, it is pretty fun, and I kind of want to play some of the older games, so it's been interesting to play that. Sorry, I had a tickle in my throat. But yeah, so Mario Party Jamboree, I think it's pretty fun, and yeah, I do want to play more of that game, and maybe fun to play some of the other games. I do own Mario Party 10 on the Wii U, but my disc does not work. I don't know if I ever actually booted up that game, to be honest, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so that's what I've been playing a little bit of, and yeah, so let's get into our main topic of the Switch 2 editions. So there are only maybe like 6 or 7 Switch games maybe that have Switch 2 editions. I know of the main Nintendo ones. You have Mario Party Jamboree, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and then and that's other than like the Pokemon and Metroid ones that are coming soon because of those being new games. So, but yeah, so that is the Switch 2 editions. So I want to talk about some of the other games because there are tons and tons of Nintendo games out there, or tons and tons of Switch games out there that that should have, so like you would think would have upgrades on the Switch 2. So I made a list of 10 of the most popular games, I would say. 8 of these are on the top 10 like in sales numbers. And then 2 others are just extra ones that are really popular games that I've also played a good chunk of. So yeah, so I've played pretty much all of these games, I think. So yeah, so let's talk about these. I'm going to say whether or not I think that they are likely or whether they are unlikely, and whether or not they could get new like content like Kirby or just be visual and performance upgrades like the Zelda ones. All right, so let's start off with, let's see. So starting off our list, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is one that I am going to say probably not. This is probably, I feel like maybe a pretty easy one that it won't, just because of Mario Kart World, how popular that is, and the fact that it will most likely get DLC. But I feel like just like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has existed for 10 years now, over 10 years now, and it just got, not only did it get a huge DLC expansion on Wii U, but then of course it got a, gigantic DLC expansion here on the Switch years after it came out on the Switch. So I feel like that game is done, and I do not think that game will be revisited at all. So I'm labeling that as very unlikely to get any kind of Switch 2 edition or anything like that. Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is one I could see, but I feel like this is one that it really depends if we are getting a new Animal Crossing on the Switch, too. I feel like Animal Crossing also did get some pretty big updates, but I could see them bringing it to Switch 2. I don't think it would be the most I don't think it would be the craziest thing to say that this game could have a Switch 2 edition. I really don't, because I mean, yes, it did get some big expansion stuff, so I don't think it would get any new content. But I could see them releasing this. I feel like this is a game that they might put back on Switch or on Switch 2 with updated graphics. I think that's also a game that does have some nice visuals, so I think it would be cool to see that on Switch 2. But I don't know, because I feel like that's also an interesting game for a lot of reasons when it comes to just how it works, and you only have one island on each system. But I guess I don't know really how much that would factor in. But yeah, I feel like that's one that it wouldn't have a lot of new content. It would probably mostly be visuals and performance. But just maybe that's something that it's make even more people aware of Animal Crossing, especially people new to the Nintendo, Nintendo whatever, not as familiar with Animal Crossing. Kind of get them back into it too, I mean, Animal Crossing New Horizons was out in 2020. That was 5 years ago. And so I think it would be interesting to get people back into Animal Crossing, give them a reason to go back so that it's sort of relevant if they announce one, because that has been a pretty big rumor that a new Animal Crossing might be coming out sooner than we might expect. So I'm going to label that as likely. I do think it is plausible, and I don't think it's crazy to say. So I'm going to label it likely. Next is Smash Bros. Ultimate. And I think this is another interesting one where it's first of all, I have no idea what they're going to do in the next Smash Bros., especially with what Smash Ultimate did with adding every single Smash character ever, and pretty much almost every stage from the series. And of course, that had so much more content and stuff too. So I feel honestly, it depends on when the next Smash game is coming out. I do not think the next Smash is coming out for a while, so I do think it would make sense for Nintendo to release a Switch 2 edition of Smash Ultimate. Actually, while I'm doing this, I'm actually going to write down what I'm saying, because I'm kind of just coming up with these on the spot. But yeah, so Smash Ultimate, I am going to say likely, because especially with Kirby Air Riders, I don't think we're getting a new Smash game in a while, unless it's not Sakurai, which I don't think it will. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think, Kirby Air Riders comes out, maybe has some new content within the next year after it releases, and then new Smash game kind of gets deeper into development, and then that comes out maybe 3 or 4 years from now at the earliest, maybe. So I think because of that, especially since Smash Ultimate came out in 2018, that's 7 years ago. I think just to make people, remind people of Smash basically, because the last content stuff that happened for that game were in 2021, which was 4 years ago. So I do think it would be a good idea for them to just put this out there as a way to say, hey, Smash is still here. We haven't forgotten about it. We still got some Smash stuff here. And so yeah, if you want to go dive back into Smash, here's an upgrade that'll just make the visuals pop a little bit more, and maybe the performance run a lot better, which I think would be nice. I think that would hook a lot of people to hear that Smash is getting better performance upgrades and stuff. With how much that kind of stuff is important, with how important that is in the game. So I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that would be a good idea. So yeah, I'm going to label that as likely, and probably on this list, it's probably the most likely. Next up is Super Mario Odyssey, and I feel like this is one that it almost sounds like a no-brainer, but I also think I don't know. You know what I mean? But I do think it would be cool to see content on here. I think this might be the most likely of the ones on this list to get new content. But there's one more here I've seen people talk about, like maybe new content, which I'll get to. But Super Mario Odyssey. So first of all, for some reason, I was convincing myself like months ago when Switch 2 Edition things came out. I was starting to convince myself that a Mario Odyssey Switch 2 Edition was going to be announced, and it would include a hide and seek mode that's like the mods made by like Crafty Boss, and all those amazing videos with Smallan and CJYA and Nico. No, is it Nico? No, not Nico. Nightgirl. That's what I'm thinking. Nightgirl. So such funny videos. I love watching them so much, but I also am like, oh, that'd be so cool to have like an actual hide and seek. I mean, yeah, there's Luigi's Balloon World, but that's not the same. Although I think having that in there already makes that unlikely. But I think I could see them adding something, like maybe a little bit of new content. I don't know how I'm blanking on the word here, but I don't know like how expansive I guess it would be, or like how much extra stuff they would add. Like Kirby added a bunch of new levels. I don't know if Mario Odyssey would really do that and have a lot of new things, but I'm not even thinking about like a new kingdom, but I could see them adding some kind of new content. I don't really know what, but maybe just something small. Like something small enough where like maybe it's something new. It's more than just visual and performance upgrades, but it would still keep it at $10. It wouldn't go up to 20, although probably just if it was there, Nintendo probably would put it at 20, but just because that's what they do. But yeah, I do think in general, I do think it would not be a surprise to see Mario Odyssey getting a Switch 2 upgrade. So I'm going to put that as likely. And I do think it is a high candidate for getting new content. So the next two, I'm not going to talk about basically any of it because I have not played these games at all, and I know very little about these games, and because it's pretty unlikely, I feel like in general, because a new game in the series is coming out in just a month, which is of course Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Pokemon Sword and Shield. We have Pokemon Legends Aetheryte coming out next month, which is getting a Switch 2 edition as well because it's coming to Switch. So I just think in general, I feel like these games are gone. I do not think we are going to see new versions of these games. I feel like that would be very funny. So yeah, very unlikely for both of those. Super Mario Party is another one I'm thinking is unlikely because I feel like we are... I don't know if we're going to get a new Mario Party in a while. I think I said we won't. I think I said like 3 or 4 years before. I don't know. But we also did just get Mario Party Jamborees Switch 2 edition. And I think with how much better the reviews are for that game compared to Super Mario Party, I don't see them going back to Mario Party. I think that would be a little bit weird. Next up is an interesting one. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, already a deluxe version of a game that released on the system before. And so this is an interesting one. I was predicting that, and I still am predicting, that we're going to get 2D Mario next year and then maybe 3D Mario in 2027. So I really don't think that they would put out a new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe Switch 2 edition. But because it's also like yes, they said that they're not doing 2D Mario anymore, but at the same time, or they're not doing new Super Mario Bros. U anymore, but it's also like it wouldn't be a new game. It would be a new version of an already released game. I feel like that's like the most Nintendo thing to do, and I feel like it's something that it seems unlikely until you remember, oh yeah, it's Nintendo, it's going to happen. So I don't really know what, but I think in my opinion, just looking at it and hope and predicting a new 2D Mario. I'm gonna say it's unlikely, but I feel like it also could be likely. I think that's one of the more middle ground ones. See what Nintendo does there. All right, so here's two more. These are not only top 10 of the most sold games on the Switch, but I would say that they are two that are pretty popular, and two that I have also played and have a bit to talk about too. So Luigi's Mansion 3, another one of my favorites from the Switch. I love the game very much. It's another one I go back to every year. And I'm actually going to go back to it next month, just about a month before I play it again. So time really flies. But yeah, so Luigi's Mansion 3. I was also predicting this. I'm still predicting. I think we're going to get a new Luigi's Mansion pretty soon. And we also did just get Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So I think unless a Luigi's Mansion is not happening within the next couple of years, I would say that maybe this game could come out. I think it would be cool to get some updates in terms of visuals and performance. I don't really know what else what kind of new content they could add, but I don't really know. I think it's like whatever. Maybe like small things, but or I'm trying to think. Because I know Luigi's Mansion 3 did get some DLC, and I know it was paid, but I don't know if they put that in like an upgrade pack. I don't really know. So, yeah. So Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm gonna put likely, but because I think like if that's announced within the rest of the year, I think that means that we are not getting a new Luigi's Mansion in a while. I think it's gonna be a little while before we get a new game, if a Switch 2 edition of 3 is announced. So we'll see. And okay, so finally, this is a game that I was watching a video from Game Explain, and they were doing something. It was a list of like Mario themed like predictions for his 40th anniversary, and like how like if they thought all that stuff would happen. And it was an interesting video. I thought some of the takes they had were a little weird. But one of the things they were talking about was a Super Mario Maker 2 Switch 2 edition that adds Super Mario Bros. Wonder as like an extra thing. So, of course, oh my God, I keep kicking my table. So, of course, Mario Maker 2 did not get any... substantial is kind of like... I don't know. That might be a little much. Sure, like we did get, of course, we got like new items and stuff. There were some cool little new things that they added for players to play around with. We did get the World Maker, which was neat. But I think for the most part, there was no like nothing substantial. We didn't get a new game style. We didn't get something like that. Even though there is obviously space next to Mario 3D World, which people have been talking about since the game came out. But, oh, sorry, I had to crack my neck. So I think first of all, I'm not saying yet if I expect this or not. But what I will say is that if this is announced and if there is a Switch 2 edition of this game that comes out, I could see it being Mario Wonder. Like, I think that makes sense for them to add Mario Wonder as a new game style, and I could very much see that as the new content they would add to it. But I do also think it depends on when we're getting a new Mario Maker game. If we are, I've heard some rumors about Mario 3D, Mario Maker 3D, which was also mentioned in that video as well. And honestly, it's hard for me to just think of that existing because of how much more complicated I feel like the game would be. But yeah, I don't really know. I feel like that's going to depend on, if Nintendo like really wants to put that much into the game to try and make it simple and easy for players to mess around with. So I think for now, though, I do think it makes sense for a Mario Maker 2 Switch 2 edition, tweak some things with the game, add that new game style. I think that would be pretty cool, and I think that would bring people back into the game. But yeah, we will see. So that is so I'm going to put that as likely for now. And yeah, so that is our video game. That's our video game segment. And all right, so we're almost done the podcast. We have just some Philly stuff to talk about now. So yeah, let's dive into some sports stuff. So let's talk Phillies. So I got some bullet points here to talk about. Actually, I'm going to check right now because, by the way, I'm recording this on Sunday. I'm recording this a little bit earlier than I usually do because this is when I had the best time to record it. Let's see, and the Phillies lost tonight. All right, so we'll talk more about that. Okay, so let's talk Phillies. Starting off, we have the Phillies. They got swept by the Mets, which is the big thing I'm kind of iffy about, because it's like the Phillies got swept by the Mets to start off the week and now ended the week by winning 3 out of 4 against the Braves. So, it's great that we were able to win 3 out of 4 against the Braves, but at the same time, it's the Mets that I have a bigger issue with. That is the bigger thing for me. Just the fact that it's like that we can't beat them. You know what I mean? Especially in Citi Field. We've done decent against them at home. It's when we're in Citi Field. We just forget how to play baseball, it seems like. It is the worst thing ever. And the fact that we get swept is terrible. And honestly, that kind of yes, it's great that we were able to take 3 or 4 from the Braves, and it's great that the Marlins were able to take care of business against the Mets. But it's I don't really care about those things if we can't beat the Mets. You know what I mean? I don't know why. You know what I mean? The Mets have just not been amazing in recently. And it's yes, we're probably going to run away with the division, but I don't want. We need to beat the Mets. We need to learn how to beat the Mets in New York. It is baffling to me that we have not learned how to do that yet. So yeah, I just cannot say that we are a better team than them if we cannot beat them. I really can't. It is it stinks. I'm looking up right now. The Phillies, I want to look up their record against the Mets this season. I am curious what it is. Okay, this is not giving me what I want. 7-2 is what it says. So yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So we got swept twice in New York, I guess. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So, yeah. I do not like that at all. It's embarrassing that we can't beat them in New York. I just can't get it. I don't get it. It's also, to me, it's I can't, we always say, oh my God, we have the best home atmosphere in baseball, and no one beats us. But it's at the same time, that same thing that happens to other teams in CBP is happening to us in Citi Field. It is, you know what I mean? So we just, we walk in that stadium and we just, can't do anything. We can't take care of business, and we need to learn how to do that. Phillies right now are 6 games ahead of the Mets. They have that much better record, and they're like I said, they're probably going to run away with the division. But it's just you need to learn how to beat them, in New York, because that's what matters. If you look at the just the wild card thing in general right now, the Mets do hold a nice 4-game lead for the final wild card spot in the National League. So You know what I mean? Like right now, the three teams that are in the postseason right now are probably going to be the three teams that are going to be the wild cards in the postseason, being Chicago, San Diego, and the Mets. So, yeah, that's probably what it's going to be. And honestly, the order that it's in right now, I think is how it's going to be. Actually, well, my prediction is that San Diego is going to be the 4th seed, Chicago the 5, and then New York the 6th. But that would lead, so if that's the case, and I also think it's going to be the order it is right now with Milwaukee, Philly, and LA in that order respectively. And so basically what that would mean is that the Dodgers would play the Mets, and then the Cubs would play San Diego. And of course the Mets could not beat them last year, but anything can happen in a 3-game series. And if we do in fact, or if they do in fact win, guess who they're going to play? Us. Like if we're the 2nd seed, which it looks like we probably are with how great the Milwaukee's doing, we're probably going to play them. That's just how it's going to end up again. We're going to play them again in the NLDS. We're going to start the series again in Philly. And I don't know. We'll see. I mean, you really can't, you got to win in New York. We need to win one. You know what I mean? If you win one in Philly, which they can definitely win one, which they actually did that last year, of course. You win one in Philly. You only need to win one in New York, because then Game 5 is back in Philly, and that should be a game that we win. Back in Philly, we should be able to beat them there. So as much as I wouldn't want it to go to a 5-game series and I would want to beat them in less than that, that's one way to do it. But we can't even win in Citi Field. As far as I've seen, we are 0-6 this season in New York. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right, that we have got swept twice there. Pretty sure we got swept there last year as well. And then, of course, at the end of the season, I think we went 3 for 4 or 1 for 4. 1 for 4 there. So that is something we need to work out. All right. Let's move on from that. But yeah, talking about the series now. Of course, big talk is the Game 1 of the Braves series. 19-5, I'm pretty sure is the score. 4 home runs. 4. Which is... Or 4 for Schwarber. I'm sorry. I'm just saying 4 because it's just a crazy number of home runs. 4 home runs for Schwarber. I'm pretty sure it was 6 for the whole team, which ties a franchise record. 6 or 7, I forget. But yeah, that's insane. 4 home runs in a game. We've already had 3. I think we've had 3 games where a player had 4 home runs in that one game. So it's pretty crazy. But it's just like... it's just what stinks the most about that is that, the Mets scored 18. They scored 24. No, that's not right. 25 runs in that series. They scored 25 runs in the series against us. Then we scored 19 in one game against Atlanta. 19-4, sorry, not 19-5, 19-4. Where was any of that offense? We scored 0 in Game 3. We scored 5 in Game 2 and 3 in Game 1. We scored 8. We scored more or less than half that we scored in that one game in that entire series against the Mets. If we just scored half of those runs that we scored that night when we were in Citi Field, we would have at least won 1 or 2 games, which is really all I cared for, 1 or 2, because we already had a good lead against them, and I just wanted 1 or 2. But, of course, we had to get swept. and then our offense, of course, explodes at home. And it's like, you can't just win at home and against crap teams, because guess what? We've lost at home before. Like, eventually that home atmosphere, like we've had it, like 2022, it was a big shock to all the teams that came into that ballpark. And it's like, yes, it's still crazy, and yes, it's still whatever, but it's like the teams know about that and are now starting to learn. You know what I mean? It's been 3 years of Phillies postseason with this team. So you got to wonder, like, teams are going to beat us now. You know what I mean? Mets were able to take one last year, which ultimately led to them winning. And then, of course, Arizona took care of business in the NLCS in 2023. So yeah. But yeah, Schwarber hitting 4 home runs in a game is absolutely insane. That is like wild. And yeah. And also, why in the freaking world have the Phillies not re-signed Kyle Schwarber? Like, I feel like they should do that now. Like, I do not know why they have not done that yet. Like they need him. You know what I mean? Like, he is easily of the last couple of years, the most consistent player on this team. You know what I mean? There is not a single player on this team other than Schwarber that I trust to any degree when they're at the plate. You know what I mean? If we are in a big moment where we need a clutch hit to, like, I don't know, tie the game, take the lead, win the game, or anything like that, Schwarber, if Schwarber was at the plate, I would be like, yeah, we got this. Like, we're going to win this game. And I'm not like, oh no. Everyone else, literally any other person on this team, even including like Turner and Harper, I'd be like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, anything could happen. You know what I mean? Anything could happen. It even happened tonight in this one game. Schwarber, hit a clutch triple in late in the game. I think it was like the 8th inning. He hits a clutch triple, gets at third. No doubt he was going to get a big hit, and he ended up picking up a triple. And then Harper comes to the plate. Big chance for the Phillies to get some insurance. And what does he do? First pitch, he flies out to the right fielder. It's like, you know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff that needs to be fixed. But at the same time, it's also like you need to get Schwarber, because I think without him, we would not be as good of a team as we are. I'm actually kind of curious what his WAR is this season. Let's see. Going to good old baseballreference.com. He has a 4.3 WAR this season, which is amazing. I'm curious. Highest WAR 2025. Aaron Judge has the most, which is interesting. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. So, yeah. That is, yeah. Schwarber is, I'm trying to look. Where's my guy's name? He's here somewhere. Yeah. He is top 40, yeah. I'm actually surprised. I think it was Trey Turner. Yeah, Trey Turner actually is higher than him. That kind of surprises me. I'm surprised. I feel like he'd have more. But you know what? Whatever. Who cares? That's a dumb stat anyway. Who cares about WAR? Yeah. So anyway, yeah. That is, the run he's on is insane, and they really need to re-sign him. Why will they not do it? Like, I get it. He's going to want the big bucks, but it's like, spend it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this team, they're not going to do it again. They're not going to spend a ton of money again. They spent a ton of money on Schwarber. They spent a ton of money on Turner, Castellanos and Schwarber. They spent a lot of money on when they first signed them. And it's like, I feel like we're at where the team is now, Schwarber is probably going to be the last player of this big team before like the end of their, before they collapse and stuff, whatever, and they start to not be as big anymore, whatever. Probably the last big signing. So I don't know why they haven't done it yet. I mean, they have plenty of money. You know what I mean? How popular they are and how many people go into those games alone. It's like, yeah, like they have plenty of money. And then last little thing to mention, some news today. Phillies signed, they picked up Walker Buehler. He was released by the Red Sox and is now a Philadelphia Philly. I personally don't like Walker Buehler just in general. I don't think he is to me, he does not seem like a Philly. He seems more like a Philly fan than a Philly player, if that makes sense. So yeah, we'll see what happens with him. So he is I'm pretty sure they just put him in AAA for now. And I don't think it's like the worst thing ever because he's not the best, but I think he can be good. And I think he has been, but I don't know if I don't know if he could reach it again. We'll see, but he has the potential. Maybe we'll see. But I think even just for the rest of the season with Wheeler out, it's nice to have another, experienced pitcher in that lineup who has also won a couple of World Series. So it is going to be nice to have another World Series winning player on this team. I think he's actually won it twice. I think he was on the Dodgers in 2020 as well, maybe. Trying to remember, but I forgot. But yeah, so that's going to be big, I think, just for that alone. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how he does. We'll see how he does here. And yeah, so that I think that's it for our sports segment. I think that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. So yeah, that is that I think is gonna do it. That's all the stuff I wanted to cover, and that's our podcast today. So yeah. Really the only thing to talk about, I guess, here at the end is with the Nintendo Direct. So I am planning to do a reaction video of that. By the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet. I forgot if I mentioned this or not, but I finally learned how to use OBS and Discord. So I am not using anything else I actually, I'll mention it right now, what I've been using for the past, 3 or 4 years to edit just anything. I have been using pretty much Wii Video, if you've ever heard of it. It's essentially web browser Premiere. It's like Premiere, but much simpler. It's not meant for big projects, but yeah. So, but it's and the reason I've also been using that specifically is because the school that I go to, we actually get it for free. Like the I don't know if it's the highest tier, but it's at least very close. So I get access to all the, or at least most of the bells and whistles. So it is pretty nice. So yeah, that's what I've been actually using to edit videos and make reaction videos for the past many years. I just record the video somehow. That's why I usually release highlight stuff, because I'm never able to record the whole direct. So I just record pieces of it on my phone and then stick my reaction video in there. So, but yeah, so I finally learned how to use OBS. So hopefully that should work fine, and we'll see how that goes. And then, as I said before, with special guests, I do know people who I think might be interested to do reaction videos on here. So I did kind of learn how to use Discord and kind of mix the two together, in order to do two people reactions. So yeah, so that is, so that's that. So I am hoping, I would like to do what I did. I was able to do a full length reaction video for the Switch 2 Direct back in April, but that video, just don't watch it. It's terrible. The video quality is terrible. It's buggy. Frame rate's probably, it's non-existent. There is no frame rate. Yeah, so hopefully the next direct will be better. If it doesn't work, I'll just do a highlight reel, and because I'm still learning how to use OBS. But yeah, so yeah, we'll see what happens there. If that's happening this week, then whatever, we'll talk about it in the next podcast. And if not, if it is happening, next week or later. Then we'll talk about my predictions, my bingo board, whatever, in our next podcast. But yeah, that's going to do it for this podcast. So thank you all for listening very much. Next podcast will be on September 9th. And so thank you all for listening. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.